Hello there, kittens. Welcome to Izzy's Initial Impressions, the show where I watch a thing and I get excited about the thing and then I do a very short review because I can't be bothered to do a full-length review about it. I kind of thought this would be a good idea to me actually make some more videos than I actually do, because uni happens, sorry. Last few months I've been having my 4th year exams for vet med, but I've passed them and it's fine. I don't have exams now for 18 months, so that's pretty good. So today we're going to be talking about the brand new Netflix show, Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. I guess you could call me a bit of a die-hard fan when it comes to Series of Unfortunate Events. Die-hard as in I've read all the books, God knows how many times, I've seen the film, God knows how many times, and now this series come out and I was just like, oh, more Lemony stuff, gimme, gimme, gimme. Well, I say I read the books, I've actually listened to the audiobook, and if you're planning on reading the series, get the audiobooks, they're really good. Tim Curry and Lemony Snicket himself narrate it, and it's just brilliant. Just go and buy them, it'll be the best purchase of your life. I'm just gonna be kind of giving my thoughts, my initial ideas, hence the title of the show. And I would like to hopefully just give my recommendation, I guess is the basic thing, what I thought of it, with some spoilers. Sorry. And because this is an informal affair, obviously we're in a onesie. For anyone wondering, Simba, you're fucking welcome. Anyway, onto the series. So as far as the story goes, it's very, very close to the books. Like, it is remarkably close. I don't think I've ever seen a book to series or book to TV or book to film adaptation that is so dedicatedly close. And to me, that's a good thing, because Lemony Snicket's work is genius, and you don't want it being bastardized by some other writer. And having looked it up, Lemony Snicket actually did, well, Lemony Snicket, his pen name. Lemony Snicket did actually write several of the episodes himself, so that kind of explains why he's kept it as close as possible. There are differences. I feel like they're differences that Daniel himself would have actually wanted in the books had he gone around and visited them again, because it's about the the organization, VFD, the Baudelaire orphans' parents being involved with it and that kind of thing, and the Quagmires and all that wonderful stuff. So yeah, it's got some good differences, so it doesn't lead to too much predictability and boredom, as it were, for people who have already read the books and seen the film. One of the new elements has actually been borrowed from the film, and that's the usage of a spyglass as kind of a symbol of the organization type thing of VFD. This spyglass is actually given a purpose, and in the series it seems to be a decoder of some description, as it's seen in The Reptile Room Part 1. It's used to translate code from subtitles in a film, which I think is a really nice touch, because in the film it was just a spyglass. It didn't have any purpose, it was just kind of like a symbol thing. Whereas this one, it's a symbol and it has a proper use. Excellent. There's also this continued question throughout the whole series, I mean literally up to the right end episode, episode 8, of whether the Baudelaire parents are actually alive. Now, trust me when I say when they introduced this idea at the end of episode 1, it nearly gave me a heart attack. I genuinely was like, no, don't do this, what are you doing? I really panicked, and I imagine a lot of Die Hard fans really panicked, because you can't bring back the Baudelaire orphans' parents. It just wouldn't work. The whole story would fall apart. It is hinted at in the books, but much later on, whereas in the series, it's hinted at pretty much straight away at the end of the first episode, which is an interesting twist. It is actually revealed later on that it is not the Baudelaire's parents, it is in fact the Quagmire's parents. Such a good touch. I kind of guessed, because there's a bit where Uncle Monty is showing them a picture of him with the Baudelaire parents, and they're all trapped inside the piano. They're all inside a piano. And I thought, well, why aren't they just showing the parents' faces if we've already seen them? And that's when I kind of started thinking, But then again, there's also a picture of them at Lucky Smells. But then again, the camera always pans to Quagmire's parents and another couple. And it's that other couple that we don't notice, and that's actually the Baudelaire parents. So nice touch, really nice touch. It also brings in a little more emotional love and everything for the poor little Quagmires, because we kind of, in the books, they're just introduced as orphans who were already out at the Ulster Academy, who've already lost their parents. Now we get a bit of emotion for them, R.I.P. Also, another thing I really liked about what the series did in terms of the story was incorporating Lemony Snicket as this omnipresent author that the children can't see, but he can totally see everything around him. And he does the thing, like from the books, where they'll explain what a phrase means, or they'll explain what a word means. And it's just done so cleverly and so beautifully, and it's just great. I really like that. That is such a good touch. It makes you feel like you really are seeing the books come to life. As for the acting, in general, really, really quite good. Really good. For a series anyway, especially like a Netflix original series, it's just good. I think the best thing about it was the casting itself, because all of the characters are inherently very suited to their roles. How well they actually work with that and how well they actually produce that, it's kind of a different story, but we'll get to that. Bizarrely enough, I would say probably the main three protagonists, so Violet, Klaus, and Sunny, are probably the weakest in terms of acting ability, but then again, they're kids. It's always going to be hard to judge kids against adults because they just don't have the same experience. But yeah, they're just not as good. They're not bad at all, but they're just not brilliant. And there's a couple of lines, especially with Violet, she says the odd couple of lines and you just think, you don't want to try that again? You kind of blame the directors a bit for that, but then again, maybe they have asked for like 1 trillion takes and that's the best out of 1 trillion. Who knows? I don't know. It's kind of uncanny how much Violet looks like the Violet from the film, which is good, and it's also even better the fact that they've stopped dressing her in bloody gothic clothes, which is just not needed. And I thought it was great that she's just wearing like normal 14-year-old clothes. Thank you for that. The gothic Violet thing never worked for me. It really did not work. It was very unimmersive. Now Sunny is a baby. It's very hard to criticize a baby's acting talent because it's nearly always down to the people around her getting her to do the things she wants to do. Kudos to the team behind Sunny because there was only one kid playing her as opposed to the film where there were 2 kids playing her. There's only one kid playing her and she did a lot. There are obviously some scenes where she's like a dummy or she's CGI or whatever because you can't expect, you know, babies to do everything. But what she did do, it looked really good. It really did. I'd say probably, I know I hate comparing the film and the series, they don't want to be compared either, but I think I probably prefer the Sunny in the film because she's a little bit older. She's just a bit cuter, I guess, and she's just a bit more, you know, they actually get lines out of her rather than having Tara Strong dub lines. Although it's very convincing. Tara really is a talented actress. It's really hard to sum up a baby's acting performance. I don't know. And either way, it was good. It was, you know, for the most part it was good. Apart from the CG effect bits with her. We'll get to that later though. But for me though, the absolute star of the trio was Klaus. I mean, visually, he matches, like not even looks like, he matches the illustrations from the book. He acts just like Klaus from the book. And he's no longer a 16-year-old boy trying to look 11 and acting like an angsty teenager. I really didn't like film Klaus, I'm not gonna lie. He actually looks like an 11-year-old, he acts like one, but he's still Klaus. Perfect. It's good! Of course, the star actor of the whole thing is Neil Patrick Harris in the role of Count Olaf. A notoriously hard role to fill. I have to admit, and I won't mind saying this, when I first saw the trailer and I saw Neil Patrick Harris dressed up as Olaf and doing just a few lines as Olaf, I went, oh my god, this is going to be terrible. I thought it was going to be really awful. I thought it was just going to be not sinister and it was going to be really bland and it was going to be really boring because I didn't really know that much about Neil Patrick Harris beforehand. I was skeptical, very skeptical, which is why I didn't go into this series with high hopes really. But I was so pleasantly surprised. He managed to keep Olaf as sinister as he is portrayed in the books, but he also managed to introduce the element of comedy that is needed for a TV series because the books, let's face it, they are depressing as unholy shit. Count Olaf is not particularly funny. He's incredibly sinister and he has the odd funny line, especially later on in the series. I think Daniel probably realised that as he was writing, he was like, this Olaf guy, he's very dull, he's just scary. So he made him a bit funnier, but not a funny character. That's a very important definition to make. He's not a funny character. He's an enjoyable character, but he's not funny. This is why I think he's a better Olaf actually than Jim Carrey. This is a controversial opinion. Feel free to set fires of hell on me for this one. But I found Jim Carrey tried to make Olaf too much into a funny character. He just went over the top with him. He wasn't sinister, whereas Neil Patrick Harris really did make him scary with funny lines, not funny with scary lines. Not to say I didn't enjoy Jim Carrey Olaf, I really did. I love him. My mum loves him as Captain Sham. Like, she pisses herself every time she watches that film. She really likes that film. There are also a lot of side characters featured throughout the series, and I think Olaf's troupe is probably my favourite bunch of side characters because they're all so colourfully different, they're all so genuinely funny, and they are meant to be funny. They're meant to be amusing characters in the book. They're also meant to be scary, but funny. They're funny with scary lines, which is exactly what the series managed. Like the hook-handed man, he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love him. The bald-headed guy, they didn't make him quite so smart as he was in the books, whereas they made the person who looks like a man nor a woman, they made her the smart one, which I like that. I really do like, because in the books, the genderless figure was just kind of, it had no personality apart from not looking like either gender. And the guy who played him, he is a guy playing him. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. As for the other side characters, I couldn't pick out a weak one. I couldn't pick out a particularly strong one. They were all just uniformly good. I will, however, give some singing praises to K. Todd Freeman, who plays Mr. Poe. He plays him wonderfully. I did really enjoy Timothy Spall as Mr. Poe in the film. But the thing is, the two Poe characters, the series and the film, they're so different. In the film, Timothy Spall is a very sort of upstart, quite strict looking, you know, he's into business, he actually seems to know what he's doing, but he's kind of a bit clueless in terms of what's actually going on, kind of like he doesn't believe the orphans, he thinks he's smarter than them, that kind of thing. Whereas K. Todd in the series, he's kind of made Mr. Poe quite bumbling, quite cheerful, quite warm and approachable, but basically shit at his job. It's really good. I just really liked his portrayal of Poe. I love Timothy's, I love K. Todd's, they're both great. But now to talk about my favourite bit of the series, which is the directing. Oh, it's just so good! They took the books and they didn't bastardize them, they just made them even better. How do you make books that are top class even more top? I don't get it. Oh, I love it. It's just done so well. I know it may sound like I'm being some stupid fangirl, but it's genuinely some of the best direction I've ever seen. Of any series, any show, any movie I've ever seen. It's just so brilliant. Everything from like set design choices, clothing choices, to just the actors' shots, pacing, everything is good. You can tell that these three directors that worked in this, they all had a vision and they stuck to that shit. And oh my god, never once do you think, oh, this is going a bit slow, or you think, oh, too much is happening at once. You just, I can't. It's just so good. But this is the point that I'm going to have to segue from my favourite bit about the series to my absolute most hated thing. It sucks dong. It could kill this series if everything else about it wasn't so good. And that is the visual effects. God, what the fuck happened? What happened? I just really don't know what to say because I have too much to say about them. How? I guess what I can probably conclude from it, even though I don't know what the budget was, they probably spent way too much on hiring Neil Patrick Harris and other big name Hollywood stars and didn't put nearly enough money into the visual effects because, oh my god, does it show. To put it into kind of perspective from what I mean, if you spent £1,000 on the actors, what they spent on the visual effects for the series was about 10 fucking pence. And by the way, before I go on, what I mean by bad visuals is not lighting, set design, costumes, makeup. All of that is really good, like I keep mentioning. The visuals that I'm talking about are the computer-generated visuals, so backgrounds, backdrops, different things that Sunny had to do that a baby couldn't actually do. So one example I can think of from the top of my head is a baby chewing bark off a tree log. What the fuck is a tree log? A log! I think probably the best way to describe the visuals is cheap. Don't get me wrong, I am no film expert. I don't do a film degree, I don't do anything like that, but I have made my own films for a number of years, and I know the basic techniques. But even I can spot the green shadow on Patrick Warburton's right cheek during the fire scene in the house. Why? Why is that in there? That's some absolute 5th grade level bullshit that should not be in a film, or should not be in a high level series like this. Fucking green screen errors, come on! It's not the only time that the green screen bits were crap as well. I mean, green screen is used on like nearly everything. I do know that, but when it's done well, you shouldn't know it's green screen. You can pick all the bits that are green screen in this. That's not how it should work. And to give you another example that really takes you out of the atmosphere of the series, Mr. Poe's car. Backdrop, clearly green screen, him in the car, giving it it. Now, don't get me wrong, this might have worked in the 1960s, but we are in 2017. When the backdrop is going straight and your wheel is doing that, we don't fucking believe it! The water scenes in the wide window as well are all dreadful. They all look plasticky, they look crap, like PlayStation 1 or 2 level shit. That bad. There's even this one scene where the two supposed Baudelaire orphan parents appear in a plane and they are flying in this plane. It's one of those open planes, you know, the really old ones with the 2 wings. And they're flying, quite obviously on a green screen because their lighting does not match the lighting of the background for a start. And they're flying in a plane and there's not a breath of wind on them. Her hair is staying perfectly well, her hair's much shorter than mine. It's like up there, but it's staying perfectly coiffed without a single bit of this going on. Would it have killed you to just put a fan on? Just make me believe a little bit, just a little bit. I think the award for the absolute worst visual effects or computer generated effects of the series has to go to the oh god, let me try that again. Has to go to the scene in the wide window where the house is falling into the sea. Violet is hanging onto a map that is attached to the wall, and Sunny is hanging on with her teeth to a doorknob. It's so bad. It's just terrible. And the worst thing is, they stay on it for like 2 minutes, and I'm like, if it's this bad, just show snippets of it, and then we might believe. It genuinely upsets me. It's a scene that we're supposed to be terrified in. We're supposed to be worried that the orphans are gonna plunge 1,000 feet down into Lake Lachrymose, and instead I'm sitting here going, damn, this fucking sucks. It really upsets me actually how bad the visuals are, because the rest of the series is just so good. I can't sing its praises high enough really, but the visuals let it down so badly. To give you some idea of how much I enjoyed it, I finished watching it 2 days ago. I already want to watch it again, like today. But the visuals are the one thing putting me off, and I'm thinking, do I really want to sit through that again? Because the thing is, Series 2 has been greenlit, and apparently Series 3 is probably going to be greenlit, because then it'll have finished all the books. If they go into Carnivorous Carnival, which will be the end of Series 2, and they do crappy CGI lions, I think I'll cry. Like really ugly hard cry. Oh well, but anyway, let's move on to something else nice because I'm getting too upset talking about this. The audio and the music. In general, audio and music, it's good overall. Nothing to like write home about brilliance, but it's good. It's nice, it's solid, it works well for what it is. The backing tracks for the actual thing, they do add tension in the right places, they add excitement, they do everything they need to do. Pardon. I'm horrible, I know. But they're not so good that they overwhelm the story. And what I mean by that is you're focusing so hard on the soundtrack because you're like, I love it so much, I want to listen to it more, that you kind of take your attention away from the actual story and the plot, which is completely not what you want. Audio mixing as well is perfectly good. There's no huge fluctuations in volume, so you're not having to like spam the volume button in the remote, which is such a pain. And sound effects too, they're all good, you know, much more believable than the audio effects, which I suppose is a saving grace. Had they fucked up both, I think I would have started hurting inside. Overall, with this series, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would really strongly recommend it. But like I say, this really is a fucking good series. It's such a good series. It's let down by the visuals, for sure, but it's not like the visuals are a super integral part of it. If it was an Avengers movie and the visuals sucked, you'd be in trouble. But it's a book that's mostly about the characters and the deviousness and the sort of suspicion and following up clues and things like that, and that is all kept perfectly integral to it, and it's kept perfectly beautifully done. You can just about forgive those visuals. If you've read the books and you've seen the film but you haven't seen this series yet, what are you doing? Go watch it right now, it's amazing. It's worth having a Netflix subscription just for that. If you haven't seen or done anything within the Lemony Snicket world yet, I would recommend you read the books first. I'm going to be a bit of an old miser here and say read the books first because you will enjoy the series more. I really think you will, because there are a number of little Easter eggs hidden within the series that you only get if you've read the books, and it just makes you go, ah, it's the thing I know, you know, it's great. So please read the books or listen to the audiobooks by Tim Curry and Lemony Snicket. They are great, they're really great. Tim Curry does such a good job of it. And that's pretty much all I've got to say. So if you like this review, give me a thumbs up, give me a comment, maybe even give me a subscribe if you're feeling particularly charitable. If you're an existing subscriber, if you want to find out when I'm actually making a video, click that bell, because I don't post very often and YouTube algorithms don't like people who don't post much, so you might miss future videos from me. If you have anything else you want me to watch that's fairly recent, you want me to do an initial impression on, please go ahead and suggest some stuff, or if there's any movies you want me to review in proper long format ones like the Shark Tale one, please go ahead and suggest stuff too. I'm always open to stuff to do. And with that, the cat's away. Bye!